Suddenly, the media is covering how expensive our food is going to get because of this conflict. Let's take a look at it. And before we even start, what we see was the cutoff with Straits of Hormuz is more of a siege. You just have to go back to, prior times of warfare, 1200 AD, 800 AD, 2000 years prior, and you would rope off an area and not allow supplies in or out. But to now, these forts, for a better term, are what we would call countries, regions. Same principles apply. Cut off the routes in or out, and eventually somebody has to collapse. Which brings me here to Lulu Group International, airlifting 80,000 kilograms, about 160,000 pounds of fruits and vegetables from India to the UAE because they can't get food in by ship. They're breaking the blockade or trying to. Kuwait also announcing a ban on exports of all types of food commodities. Well, they can't get it out of their region anyway, so kind of fruitless, no pun intended, with the food and the fruit to even say such a thing. But you can see the trajectory of it. March 6th, just a couple days back, Dubai only had 10 days of food. At the present time of this video, they have 8 days of food. So I guess we're going to watch in real time to see if a modern nation will be starved out or how the people will behave is more of a thing here. Prices can go up, things are going to get cut off. But the main takeaway is, how are people going to be cordial or not to each other, depending on what nationality you're from? Are you local? Are you from international? Are you different region? Because remember, the UAE is 7 different emirates, kind of like our America is 52 states. Well, they have 7 different emirates. Will they all come together cohesively to work together? Will there be one, Abu Dhabi take the lion's share of everything? Is Dubai going to get it? So this is the main thing to look at. How quickly systems will fail when the food stops, and how the breakdown of law will stop when the food stops. This is going to be a case to look at, and then you can just forecast it out on how other nations will behave. And once you get better metrics of how much petrol they have, how much food they can import or not, you can almost predict the chaos nation by nation. Over here on the conversation, Straits of Hormuz, food security is an immediate risk, but wider shortages, global price increases for your food. Like, they're starting to hit on it now. They have to, because prices are already starting to go up. Petrol's going up. They need to start and are beginning to really put the danger of all this in context. This is Arabian Gulf Business Insight. If you're looking for Middle East business news, this is the one for you, AGBI. Conflict threatens food supplies as well as oil, and that turns into gasoline, diesel, farm machinery, planting the fields or not, and also natural gas for the fertilizer. But first, they look at the dates. The Middle East is a huge producer of dates, so check out this different variety. I myself am a fan of a little more the caramelized color, the caramel color of it all. I find the really bright red and the very dark black ones a little bit off-putting for my taste. But if you're going to hit somewhere in the zone that's yummy across the planet, go for the golden honey color. You can't go wrong with that. So the distant messaging is beginning for anybody who's aware to hear. We went through COVID. That wrecked our food prices. Everything skyrocketed, and it has never come down. So you think about the price you were paying for your food in 2016, which again was a skyrocketing leg up from the 2008 financial crisis. If we were to compare 2000, let's say 2 or 1999 food prices with today's, you would just roll over and faint off your chair if you saw the actual rises in it. But each of these contagions, energy driven and then global driven as well with an event, and then the food price, once they go up to that price, they never come back down. Have you noticed that? Oh yeah, everything's going to go back to normal. None of the prices did. And this time when it goes leg up, it's going to go like a rocket leg up. It's not going to just, stair step up. It's going to go vertical with an engine on it. And that's the thing that's really kind of terrifying over with the 50,000 foot view of this. Another 2 weeks, and we're going to start to ignite that rocket in vertical pricing. New numbers out of Washington show inflation is on the rise again. Another threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. Ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or even last year? What does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and in many periods outpaced it. My friends at Noble Gold Investments specialize in helping people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver. Whether you're rolling over an IRA or making a direct purchase, their team walks you through the entire process and makes it simple. No pressure, just education and experience. And the limited time offer March bonus, get a 1/10th ounce gold American Eagle coin for new qualified accounts. Visit 2030gold.com and discover how easy it is to protect your financial future. That's 2030gold.com. Click on that link in the description box below. How the war could impact Canada's fuel prices and energy sector. Again, they're misleading, but then further in the article, they give it to you with those with eyes to see. Diesel being used in the production and transportation of food is going to be drastically impacted. Now, for Canada and the United States, we're very lucky, a lot of oil production, but the rest of the world, not so much, except the Middle East. And they're having their own set of problems, as you can see. 30% of all chemical fertilizers come out of the Middle East, and they use natural gas in the production of it. So why the Iran conflict could hit Canadian grocery bills, boom, right on it. These are independent journalists telling you this. So maybe our news this time will come from independent journalism that outmaneuvers the carefully narrated so you don't panic mainstream. Food professor, conflict in the Middle East unfolding at a particularly bad time as Canada's industrial carbon tax is set to increase again in April. If tensions persist beyond 4 to 5 weeks, we can expect additional upward pressure on food prices. Like nobody wants to hear that, and they're telling you exactly when it is. But more forecasts are what that is so far out of most anything I've seen. It's going to be hitting within 2 weeks or so. That the first pass down costs are coming to you within 2 weeks, maybe 3. By 5 weeks, you're going to go to the supermarket and be like, I can't believe the food went up again, Gertrude. One of those things. So everything is all about food from now on, because if it becomes the most expensive thing in your life and oil, then really what are you going to have left over to pay your mortgage? This is the precarious part of civilization in itself. And, like myself, a fan of history, going back over periods of history where there was collapses. In our modern era, say last 200 years, comes to this point where nobody can pay for anything. They get frustrated, they get angry, and they lash out. Government usually. Why can't you take care of us? Why don't we have this? Why can't you guarantee that? We used to have it. Now you have lost your mandate to rule over anybody. You can't even guarantee the basics. People get angry when all they do is work just to eat and just to pay for mortgage. No money for fun. You're going to have to cancel your Netflix. No travel, no beach time. Can't take the kids on a holiday. You're just going to work for food and you're going to work for your mortgage. Oh, what kind of life is that? Wow. Building it up, the American dream. White picket fence. Well, that can of paint's going to cost you 30 times more because there's lubricant oil base in there. So it's already game on in a few of these places here. Petrol prices are rising everywhere. Gasoline for you in America, everywhere. So it looks like South Africa, importing 85% of its crude from the Middle East, is already getting smacked. Food price increases, petrol increases. But interestingly, they used to refine their own diesel products and they used to have their own refineries. But wait, that was outsourced. Also off of Tovima, crop yields are going to fall by 50% if we can't get the fertilizers out. So I'd like you to read that first paragraph carefully with me here. It says the crisis could surpass the global food price shocks caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. 30 million tons went offline, if you didn't know that. 30 million tons of grains went offline because that's how much Ukraine produced. And the energy and fertilizer costs soared, driving food prices to record levels. CEO of European fertilizer giant Yara emphasized crop yields. Crop yields. 50% down. That's more than gigantic. That is the The dissolving of everything you know in this world. We couldn't have a carrying capacity of 8 billion people on the planet, or 7 now, excuse me. If we can't grow the food, you can't feed people. Like there's limits to growth, as was stated by the Club of Rome. I truly believe that there are limits to growth, and we are absolutely smacking head on into a wall of one right now. It was so dependent on very intercomplicated supply chains from one place to another, peacetime conditions. Everybody had guarantees, this, that, and the other. 30% of everything that we rely on in terms of natural gas produced fertilizers is gone offline until we get that straight back open. You're not flying, 60,000 tons of fertilizer on an airplane out of the area. Just is not happening. So the reality is setting in. I know a lot of, luckily, as the way the ag business works, since we're into the, seasoning of the fields, like these guys in America, at least, have already bought everything they need for this year's planting for fertilizer. Now, the top up applications when it comes, and like I said, July, when they start to put these different herbicides down and whatever else, fungicides, if there's some kind of funky fungus going on, whatever it is that would be used in modern agriculture, the beginnings of it is already paid for. Just when we get into like that July, and then if you're going to throw some phosphorus on there, this sort of thing, as you get in the flowering stage of whatever plant. Will we have it this year? Because if we don't, and we don't have particular types of fertilizers at that mid-growth stage period, then our crop yields decline tremendously. They're not going to go to zero, but a 50% decline in world global agriculture would, I don't know, that would be the reverberation as large as the collapse of the Roman Empire. And it would happen so fast. That's the thing, like the speed at which this thing is moving is faster than anything in human history, because we've never been this interconnected. We've never had this many interconnections of supply chains and very delicate movements of goods from one point to another, all reliant on services and electricity and peace deals and interoperable payments, which is now switching over to like a stable coin issuance and different distributed ledger technologies to speed that up, which used to take days before it took months. Now it's days. Now it's going to be minutes or seconds. Like this is all just this big movement on a board in real time, and it is going to come unwound as fast. Food's going to get expensive if this continues. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying game it out. I was looking at Poly Market today, and they had a 50-50 chance at the end of April that this thing might subside. Okay, let's do the math. We got, 3 more weeks left in March. We got 4 weeks in April. That's 7 weeks. That's so past the complete fall off a cliff danger zone that anybody's talked about. We would be in a completely new world if this thing drags on until the end of April. I'm just saying this not to scare you, but just your threat assessment should be extremely high right now. You need to think about how to take care of your families and what you are going to do. If this thing continues, food's going to get pricey. And this whole thing, digital rationing cards and all this technology that's available now for us to get it. Like, would you jump through the hoop to get a retinal scan, fingerprints, biometric facial scan, your digital ID to provide food for your family or yourself? And do you think we're going to be kumbaya, share with everybody evenly? I'm going to absolutely say not a chance in the world. So who's going to get the 70% remaining of available fertilizers split across the planet? Because whoever has the fertilizer has abundant food, the same yields that we were used to, which means their society continues, their country continues, while others that experience 50% declines in crop yields collapse. How do you think that'll be split up, do you think? And now are we going to use fertilizer as some kind of leverage point? Thumb screws. Oh, by the way, Crude went up to 119 and then it dropped back down to 100. So here's your CPI inflation rates when it hits certain benchmark pricing. We've already screamed past that 110 up to, around 120. So inflation is going to run probably hot at 3.5% minimum, at least on paper. So you definitely expecting massive food price increases on this. And when everything crashed, and this is a historical, it's pretty much these things always go up in price when there's some sort of contagion, whether World War, whether it's a Great Depression, or whether it's financial contagion, 2008, whatever. Gold, silver, food, treasury bonds. Gee, I wonder if food prices are going up. I'm gonna say yeah. I'm just gonna guess. Wild guess. And on a moment of Zen, act as if what you do makes a difference because it does. It truly does. Please help people who are in different types of stress situations at the moment. And that's the way you should be too. Don't buy into the chaos. Just be prepared. This whole video is not about scaring anybody. It's about getting you in the mind frame of those movements you do make. That really does matter for other people around you, whether you're in a panic mode or if you're like this super smooth, hey, we need to execute. Boom, 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 boom. We're going to get this garden up. We're going to get this done. We're going to get that done. We got a plan. We're going to go into mode. Everyone, this is our timeline here. That's way better. I want to be on that I want to stay with that person instead of somebody biting their chewing on their finger. Oh, it's going to end. You have to understand the threat in front of you. Food prices are going to go up. I was reading some reports are saying even if it stops tomorrow, it's going to take 2 months to unwind this ball of yarn that's mixed in on itself to get all the tankers and all the freighters and all the cargo and all the food and everything else back into a smooth motion. 2 months, even if it stops tomorrow. Every day continues, that ball of yarn just gets stretched tighter. And a bottle of wine could work in there too, but we need the yarn to come unspun. This is going to take some time. So even in your assessment of how long it might last when it ends is not the end of, hey, it's going to go back to normal again. I remember being told we were going to go back to normal again too. When did we hear that? Oh yeah. Nothing went back to normal. So the same thing, the same situation is going to occur. Like this conflict is going to end one way or another. When it does, nothing is going to go back to normal. Nothing. As much as COVID, nothing went back to normal. Nothing's going back to normal after this. So you realize this is a life-altering event for every human on the planet as much as COVID was. We're going into whatever territory we move into. It's where we move and where we stay. So that's why I said, later, skaters. I'm on the beach. Please leave your comments below. And in your mind, you need to take yourself out of the chaos into the beach with a plan. And part of that is storable foods. And it's cheaper now than it's ever going to be, especially with this stuff moving forward here. 4-week food supply. They got 3-day, 7-day food supplies. Please check it out. Adapt 2030 and My Patriot Supply. Also, trueleafmarket.com. Heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on the planet. You're going to need to get your gardens on. Seriously, this time. I mean, COVID was bad enough, but this is going to make that be looking pretty small. So you might want to hang on to a clothesline in a hurricane and grab a bag of seeds while you're drifting in the wind. I do appreciate you watching. Please share with your friends and family. This is super important discussion to have with them. Like, what do you do when your food prices just keep going up and up and up and up? As long as this conflict keeps going on and on and on and on. When this thing ends, it's still going to be months until it sorts itself out. So 2 different variables going linked to the conflict and then the unwind after it finishes, so you can get a good gauge of the impacts that will affect you and your families, all of us, everywhere on the planet. There's nowhere to run from this event. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.